Hey guys, it's Corinne here from It's So Corinne. And for today's tutorial, we will be making this super cute zipper coin purse. Now, before we begin, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the It's So Corinne YouTube channel, so that way you get alerts when I make videos just like this. And if you would like step-by-step instructions with photos and grab the free pattern for this zipper coin purse, head over to my blog at itssocorinne.com. And I'll add a link down below in the description box along with a list of the supplies needed to make this project. Now, the supplies you do need is, first and foremost, quilting cotton. And I do this in 2 colors. You could do it in 1, and you can do absolutely any color you like. But I do use 100% quilting cotton. And then next, you are going to need interfacing that is fusible to give the pocket and the tab more stability. And then you are going to use a lightweight batting. And this is just cotton lightweight batting. Next, you are going to need a 7-inch zipper. And as you can tell, this is not 7 inches. This is 14, but that is okay. As long as your zipper is at least 7 inches, you'll be fine because we can cut this down. Next, you are going to need some sort of pointy thing to push out the edges when you turn out the tab and also the main wallet. I use a plastic chopstick, but you could use whatever you have on hand or what you normally use. Next, we are going to need a pearl snap, and these you can find almost everywhere, and this is just going to be to hold the tab down onto the wallet. Next, this is a optional step, but I like to use a disappearing ink pen to draw my arc on the tab before I sew, so I have some sort of reference as I'm sewing instead of just free sewing an arc. If you don't need help with it, you can make it into an arc without, tracing it first, then more power to you, but I cannot. Next, you are going to need coordinating color machine thread, and then you are going to need a zipper foot of some sort. I use the adjustable zipper foot because I like the way that it feels when I'm sewing, but you can just use whatever zipper foot came with your machine. And then lastly, you are going to need some sort of clips or pins so you can hold it all together. Now for this specific project, I tend to use both clips and pins just because of the nature of the project, but it is completely up to you. So once you have gathered your supplies, it's time to begin. The first step in making the zipper coin purse wallet is to make the tab. And to do that, you are going to take one side of the tab pieces and then you're going to place it right side down, and we're going to add the fusible interfacing to the back. Now with this, you want to make sure, I don't think you can see on the screen, but one side is shiny and one is not. The shiny side is the side with glue. So you want to place that down towards the back of the fabric. If you put it right side up, it will be on your iron, and it is a bear to get off. So what you want to do is, I probably should have turned the steam off of my iron, otherwise it's going to get it all wonky. You're just going to press it on and make sure that it adhered to the back. Be careful, it's going to be super hot. Yeah, see, mine slipped a little bit, but that's okay. So once you have your interfacing on, you're going to take your other piece and place it right side up, and then you're going to take this one and place that one right sides together, and then you are going to pin them together like this. And what we want to do is sew them down. Oops, mine shifted a little bit. There we go. Sew it down here and then make an arc and then sew down here, and we're going to leave this end open. Now you can obviously freehand sew it, not freehand, but free sew it on your machine, or another option is, before you pin it, is to take something that's rounded like this, which I think that's a little far down. I made this template for when I was making a lot of these for a craft fair. It has made it easier because I'm not very good at free sewing, so I just take my disappearing ink pen before I pin it and then make a rough drawing, so that way I have something that I can follow with my machine. But you can take, obviously you can take anything, and I think I made that a little bit crooked or a little bit in, but I can fix that while I'm sewing. But you can take anything and that's a circle and then shape it, so that way you have a rough outline of where to sew it as you're sewing. And then we are just going to pin these back together, because if you are gonna mark on it, you want to mark it before you pin it together because it makes it easier. So once that is done, it's time to sew it. Once you have finished sewing your tab using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, it is time to trim the edges. Now, I don't know if you can tell or not in the video, but I like to sew the entire tab twice, so that way it strengthens the seams, and so when you turn it and press it and use it, you never have to worry about it coming undone. Now, after you have sewn it, all you want to do is trim up your seams around your curve. Otherwise, it's going to be super bulky when we turn it. Okay, just trim it up a little bit, and then you can, here, let me move my scissors so I don't cut myself while I'm doing this. You can grab your little stick, and then we can turn this out. And the easiest way is to place your stick, or your pointy object, in it and like shimmy it down. And see, this is why I reinforce the seams, because if you don't, it tends to fray right here. Okay, and then what you want to do is press out your tab and make sure your seams are completely out. And if you don't like the shape of your tab, you could always flip it back, wrong side out, and then you can sew it again, or worst case scenario, cut a new one and sew it again. Been there, done that. Sometimes they come out looking super, super wonky, and the best thing is just to restart. Okay, so I think that one looks pretty good. So once you have pushed all your seams out completely, all you want to do is press it with the iron. That looks pretty good. And then set that aside until we need it in the future steps. To begin the front pocket, you want to take your outside pocket piece and lay it wrong side up. Okay, and then you're going to take your fusible interfacing that you cut for the pocket, and you're going to place it with shiny side down, and you're going to fuse this together using your iron. And now, I don't know if you can tell by the video or not, I like to trim my interfacing a little bit shorter than the sides and the top and bottom. And the reason for that is I want to reduce bulk. So when I'm sewing, I don't have to worry about my machine not going through it, my needle getting stuck or anything through all the layers. So if you can reduce bulk, do it. Okay. Once we have the interfacing, that corner's coming up. Okay, once we have the interfacing pressed to the front of the outside pocket, we can set that piece aside. And what we can do is we are going to make the binding for the top part of the outside pocket. So what I like to do is press it first, and then we are going to do this just like we do binding. So you're going to fold it in half and press it, and then you are going to open it and then fold each side into the center of that center mark that we just made, and then you want to press it again. And you want to be careful to not burn your fingers when you do this, especially if you're using steam on your iron. And what you're going to do is you're going to close it up like so, and then you are going to press it really well. Oops. Okay, and so, ooh, that's hot. Make sure you don't burn yourself. Okay, so what you want to do is take both pieces of your outside pocket and you put the lining side, right side down, and then the outside of the outside pocket, right side up, so the two insides are touching. And then what you're going to do is you're going to open up the binding we just made, and then we are going to pin or clip this. I'm going to clip it to the top, making sure to line up all the raw edges. And then using a 1/4 seam allowance, you're going to sew across the raw edges. Oops. And hold this down. I mean, if you need to, you could always clip this down so that way it doesn't get in the way. But you are just going to sew along this seam right here. Once you have sewn across this seam, what you're going to do next is you're going to fold up this binding, and we are going to enclose this raw edge at the top. And so once you close your binding, you want to press it with your iron. So that way, make sure it's all folded in. And then you want to pin this or clip it. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that you know that you're hitting both sides. So what I like to do is pin it, and so I can visually see where the pins are and know if I have the back side pinned too, because I know if I sew here that I'm going to be getting the back as well. And all you're going to do after you pin it is we are going to top stitch this super close to the edge on the front side, and we are going to do a stitch right here all the way down, making sure that we are catching both the front side and the back side of the binding. Once you have top stitched your binding on your outside pocket, we are ready to move on to the next step. Now, if your binding ended up a little bit over the edge on this side, like shifted during sewing, that's okay. All you need to do is just trim it up a little bit. Sometimes it gets a little bit wonky when you're sewing it on. So once we have finished the outside pocket, now is the time that we need to take one of the outside pieces, which this one will be the front one. And what we're going to do is we are going to line up this pocket on the bottom edges of the front outside piece, and we are going to either clip this or pin this to the front piece. And what we want to do is base stitch this all the way around from here, the bottom, and then the other side. And you want to do this as close as possible without going off the side. And this is just to hold the pocket in place as we move on to the next step. So go ahead and base stitch your front pocket onto the outside piece. Once you have finished basting your outside pocket to one of your outside pieces, all you want to do is fold it in half and finger crease it so you know where center is. Take your tab, fold that in half, and place it into that crease, matching up the raw edges. Then you want to take a straight pin and pin the tab down, and you want to make sure that you pin this far enough down so that way in the next step we don't hit the pin with our sewing machine needle. So once you have that done, you're going to take one of your lining pieces and place it right side up, and then you're going to take your zipper and place that right side up as well with the zipper pull on the right. And obviously this is way too big for my piece, but like I said, I'm going to cut it down later. So I just move the zipper pull out of my way over here, and line it up to the top edge. See if you can see that. Lining these two up the top edge, and then you are going to take this piece and you are going to line this one up as well, and we're going to place the outside piece and the lining right sides together, and we're making a little sandwich. And you're going to line it up here as well. And then the last piece of the sandwich is your batting. So you're going to just take your batting and line it up. And what you're going to do is pin or clip all of these layers together. And then we are going to move over to the sewing machine, and we are going to sew using a 1/4 seam allowance crossed here as close to the zipper as possible. So you're going to want to switch over to your zipper foot and just sew across this raw edge, making sure to go through every single layer and back stitching across right here where the tab is. You want to back stitch across that a couple of times. Once you have finished sewing the first side of the zipper, you open up your little sandwich, and what you can do is take that pin out now. We don't need that anymore, and just tuck that tab into the front pocket there to keep it out of the way. Now what we are going to do is make the other side of the sandwich. So we are going to place the other lining side, the other lining piece right side up, and what we're going to do is we are going to place this whole thing with this lining right sides together. And what we're going to do is take the zipper and make sure that you line your lining sides even on the right and left, otherwise they're going to be wonky later. And what we can do is just take a few clips and clip this here as we add our pieces so nothing goes crazy. Okay, and then next we are going to take your other outside piece, and I think I want my piece like this. Yeah, I want my finished one to look like that. So we are going to take that other outside piece and place it right on top of the other outside piece, right sides together, and make sure, just like we did with the lining, that they are lined up on right and left sides. And what we're going to do is we're going to add this up here, make sure all of this is lined up, and obviously that is not. And then the last piece of the sandwich, just like earlier, is the batting. So we're going to add the batting, and then we're going to clip all of it together. And then just like we did on the other side, we are going to sew using our zipper foot, do a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and sew across this side. After you have sewn the other side of the zipper, you can change your machine back to its regular foot. Now, the most important step for this next part is to unzip your zipper to like the center of your coin purse. If you don't, you are going to make fast friends with your seam ripper. And you want to make sure to not pull the zipper tab past right here, because we are going to sew here and here, and if you pull the tab past here, you've ruined your zipper. So what you're going to do is we are going to open up our sandwiches. We're going to line the two front pieces up together. Let's see if I can show you this. And then the two linings are going to be lined up together. And what you want to do is take your zipper and pin the zipper together with the two open ends facing the lining and the teeth facing the outside. So you can either pin it, or I'm going to clip it so it stays in place. Okay? And we're going to go around this entire thing and clip it together, making sure that the two lining sides match up and the two outside lines, two outside pieces line up on every side. And now here, when I get to this side, I'm going to put two purple clips, so that way I know that we are going to leave a 2-inch turning hole in the lining of the coin purse so we can turn it all once we have sewn it. So you just want to continue around and clip or pin, and then we're going to do the same thing with this side of the zipper. We're going to fold it down with the two, let me move that more into view, with the two open ends towards the lining and the teeth towards the outside piece. And then what you're going to do is once you have it all clipped, you are going to sew all the way around the perimeter, leaving that turning hole, using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once you have finished sewing all the way around, it's time to trim up your sides. So you just want to go around and trim up your edges, but when you get to your zipper excess, do not use your good scissors. These are a pair of my old scissors that I no longer use for fabric, and these are the ones that I use for my zipper. And all you want to do is cut the zipper, just like that. And then you'd repeat the process for this side. You just want to cut it. Make sure you don't cut your fabric and cut you. So once that is done and you've trimmed up your edges, it is time to turn it right side out. So what you're going to do is use this 2-inch turning hole right here and start gently shoving your coin purse through that hole. And this is the time to use either your chopstick or anything that you normally use, like a pencil or whatnot, and you want to just turn it right side out. Once you have finished pushing out all the corners and flipping your zipper coin purse, it is time to close up the inside hole. So all you want to do is turn under the sides of the turning hole, and then you want to press that down. Mine's being a little obstinate. Okay, and then we're going to press this down. And then we are going to pin it. And then we're going to sew as close as possible to the edge that we can of the turning hole. And you want to go over it a couple of times to have some strength in it. After you have sewn the turning hole closed, all you need to do is tuck your lining into your wallet and then zip it closed. And then the last step is to add your purl snap. Now let me show you the finished one. A purl snap, it goes on, one part goes onto the tab, and then the other part goes through the pocket, and so that way you have a snap. Now you want to put those on according to the instructions that came with your snaps. Now once you have your snap on, your little zipper coin purse is done. Yay you! And all you have to do is use it or give it or make 20 more and give them to everyone that you know. Now these things are super versatile because you can change the fabric into any color that you like, and I just love these and I give them all the time, and it is the #1 requested thing that I make. So if you enjoyed today's tutorial, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the It's So Karenni YouTube channel. And if you like, come visit me at my blog at itssokarenni.com. So until next time, see ya!